Hello, this is teddygaming and welcome back to another very special video. Because in today's one, we're going to be interviewing Juni Ba. I'm pretty sure I said that name right. If I haven't, then sorry. And he's currently working on the tmnt IDW 2022 annual, which is getting some like really good attention just due to what's going to be happening there. And yeah, now he has worked on the tmnt before in the past in terms of running 10 variant covers, which are pretty cool. But yeah.
Wait, how do I summarize this? So I was born in Senegal. I usually describe it as the most Western country in all of Africa, in the sense that like geographically we are the most to the left, I guess, to the west, and so we are the last ones to see the sunset. And I grew up on a bunch of like cartoons and comics. I guess most notably like the one that stands out the most is Samurai Jack and Hellboy, of all the stuff that you can tell have influenced me. And I mean, pertaining to this particular subject, like I grew up on the 90s TMNT, and then I didn't vibe with the 2003 version until much later. Like I would watch an episode here and there, but I wasn't exactly in it. Although I did have like a Leonardo figure that I was absolutely in love with. Like I found the designs to be amazing. The problem was I could never actually follow the show because I kept like bumping into episodes randomly. So this show was a bit more serialized than the previous version. So I was always like, I don't really understand what's going on. So I could never really get into it until I was into my 20s and decided to watch the show in one go. And then I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. And yeah, and the 2012 was my favorite version for a while. And then the comics is more, I got into the comics when I was in my 20s as well. So like, I feel like most of my interest in the TMNT, like most of the stuff that I really enjoy about it came later, not when I was really a little kid. There was a phase of like really into it when I was a teenager, a kid in the 90s, and then a phase of like, yeah, I like them, but that not to the point of being like a crazy fanboy or anything. And then my 20s came around and I was like, my God, this is absolutely amazing. Like every version is interesting in one way or another. Well, not every version. There are certain things that I just don't understand why they exist. Anyway, yeah.
So the first question is, how did you get this job for Daniel?
Grinding mostly, like I guess. Okay, so the thing was, I was approached first to do a cover on the Jenica spin-off. And I think they found me off the internet, like Twitter or something. And then, like I made a Jenica cover, and I kept saying, if you have an opening for me somewhere where I could draw some pages, let me know. Then they gave me the cover for TMNT 116. And again, I said, if you have an opening somewhere, give it to me. And eventually, Bobby Curnow, the editor who handled the TMNT, eventually just sent an email where he said, I'm figuring out what the next books are going to be, and I want you on something, but it might not happen. And then eventually I got the annual because that just freed up, I guess. And I think there's also the fact that since I've been working on my own books and writing my own stories, there was a bit of confidence there that I could handle everything myself, or at least the art and the pages and the story, like the coloring and the lettering are done by other people. But yeah, I think basically I got the job because I managed to show that what I could do with it, and I had done enough on my own that I proved that I was able to handle the job. So now it's like I guess it's more a matter of like waiting for it to come out and see what people think of it.
So and did you have a certain art style you do follow, or was that do your own art style for the comic?
I got pretty free reign, I would say. Of like, the advantage is that the universe is very well established at this point. So one thing that was very freeing is that I could basically tell the story I wanted and use the art style I wanted. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I did everything I wanted, because there are still some rules you have to follow, like you can't use certain characters and everything. But yeah, by and large, I could tell exactly the story I wanted to tell and draw the characters exactly how I wanted them to look like. I didn't have any notes of like they need to look more like this artist would have made them or anything, or they need to behave another way or anything like that. Like I'm going to assume that the way I made this story and the way I drew these characters was close enough to like how they're supposed to be, I guess, at least to the satisfaction of the people who have the power over whether the book comes out.
So did you have any input on the colors for this comic?
On the colors?
Yes. Did you have like an input on them?
Yeah. See, that's funny because like so Rhonda Pattison is doing the coloring, and she's been doing the coloring on the turtles for like years now. So it's kind of like I had an idea of how I wanted it to look like, but at the same time, you're not going to exactly like tell the person who's been doing that job for years how to do their job. So I made a PDF with all the like coloring ideas that I had, just in general terms of like, I wanted to look like this. This is what kind of mood I think would fit this. But ultimately, like I was very like, you know what you're doing, and I'm just giving you like pointers of what I was intending when I made this. But if you figure out anything that you think works better, go ahead. So yeah, I like working that way, where like you aim for something, but you also give enough freedom to the person who comes after you on the pages to do their own thing and not have to worry too much about being like beholden to whatever the artist has said it should be done. Because like I think that's also how you get the best results. So I haven't seen the pages colored yet, so I'm actually excited. Like I basically told her like, do everything that you haven't been able to do on the turtles because of all the rules that you usually have to follow. Like we're on an annual, so like let's have fun and do stuff that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on the regular series. So I'm excited to see what she does.
So was it hard to turn the comic script into like comic form?
There was no script. I don't work off of scripts, actually. I don't write them, like for myself at least. I've never had to make a story for someone else. So there was no script. I storyboard everything directly. So even when I make the story, there's a lot of storytelling that's done visually first, which is also why I think this annual is going to be a bit different from what you usually read in the TMNT series. Like the way it was made is different, and the storytelling in it is a bit different, and so the look of it is going to be very influenced by the fact that I made this kind of like a Samurai Jack episode, which is I figure out what the story bits are, and I figure out how they work by using drawings, not writing. So yeah, there are certain pages where you wouldn't even need, most pages you would not even need text.
So with like your past covers, was you able to draw what you want, or was you given like a certain thing to draw, or like told what to draw?
No, that's one aspect that I'm kind of happy about. I was not given any notes or any like directions for those. So on the Jenica one, I just figured I want to do something that has like, the base idea was I wanted to play off of the color of her mask. So I had a few sketches where it was just, every time I wanted to have like neon yellow kind of focus for the eye. And I landed on the one with the gunshot because I thought that was really cool, this idea of like the mask melting with the gunshot behind. And the one for 116, I just wanted to draw the 4 characters in like a really cool action-y pose. Because like the whole point of it for me was like, this is my first time drawing them. I just want to draw the 4 turtles and nothing else. And I want to show what it looks like when I make them fight. Like, again, my goal was I want to draw pages. So this cover is going to be my way of showing this is what it could look like when you give me pages. It was purely strategy on my part and just like having fun with the characters, I guess.
So did you get to see what happened inside the issue, or did you just like to start drawing?
I haven't had the knowledge, but I can't give anything. I was given a few I was shown one script and given like information as to what happens next, so that I don't conflict with anything. Both in the events and thematically, like the whole thing of like we didn't want to retread the same subjects over and over again. Like if Sophie was doing something, it would be kind of useless of me to tread the same subject. So I was given information as to what happens there, which is usually how it's done. I would assume, like I'm still kind of new to this, but I would assume that you're at least given enough information that you are not stepping on any toes, I guess.
Where did you get your inspiration to draw the covers from?
So the thing is, I usually start with like character designs, and I think because my brain has really like my favorite versions of the turtles tend to be the grittier ones. So it would be like the 80s comics and stuff like that. And so for the first one that I made, which was Juni Ba, there was this thing of like kind of like an old X-Men type thing where you have brick wall and all kinds of people dressed in like leather jackets, and it's a really like rough fight in an alleyway somewhere. And I think there's also a lot of inspiration from like anime. Like I really, when I think about the fight scenes, when I think about the turtles moving, they're always moving as if they were in some kind of anime like Naruto or something. And like even the I know that I'm not the only one who started thinking this way, because the last tmnt cartoon we got was very much like an anime fight scene, like extended it over however many episodes that was. So yeah, I would say a lot of anime and a lot of like gritty aesthetics from the 80s and 90s.
And who's your favorite character to draw in the annual?
My favorite character to draw. See, okay, my favorite character overall is Leo. So I enjoy I enjoy drawing him because I find him very interesting as I think it's because I'm a big brother too. So there's a lot of like parallels, I guess. But something that I found very weird and was not expecting was that because I was writing and drawing this, I had to be in the mindset of every character as I was doing this, because you have to think about how does he think, how does he move, how does he express himself and everything, what sounds natural for him to say in this situation. So you're in the mindset of all those brothers at the same time. And it turns out that Mikey is actually the best one to be in, because I think it's because I see him as the kind of person who feels his emotions much more than the others, or at least in a more outward sense. So he tends to be more joyful than the others when he's happy. And he is much more expressive in his sadness when he's sad, whereas the others have like sort of coping mechanisms of like Leo has to be stoic and Raph has to be angry and Donnie has this like scientific distance from everything. Whereas Mikey is much more like in tune with his emotions, I guess. So yeah, it turns out that he was actually the most fun to be in because I don't know, there's a sort of energy about him where I'm just like, I like being in his brain and I like drawing with him. So yeah, I would say Mikey.
Was there any hard characters to draw?
See, because I was working only off of like the book only has the 4 turtles and a new villain that I just made. So I would say, like once you have the anatomy of the 4 turtles down, it's kind of easy, you know more or less what you're doing. So I would say the new villain was the hardest one, because I made the mistake of making well, not mistake, but like he's a very bulky creature. So like when you put him in a fight scene where your inspiration is, I want to do a Jackie Chan style fight scene, except the monster is Jackie Chan and the turtles are the enemies who get pwned over and over again. So the thing is, Jackie Chan is a very limber kind of actor. He moves a lot, he bends a lot and everything. And so I drew this big bulky thing that doesn't move very much. So I would say the biggest challenge was him because I didn't think this through at all. But it actually worked out very well. Like I'm really happy with like the fight scenes that I made. I get better with every new thing that I work on, and I try to do everything a bit differently every time. And this angle of like trying to like decompose fight scenes and everything, like I can't wait. I can't wait for people to read this thing.
So, and do you prefer to do your art like original, or do you prefer to do digital?
All digital, everything, which angers everyone who wants to buy an original or something. But yeah, the only way to have like drawings of me making something is like commissions, and they rarely happen. Someday I just don't have the time, and I don't really have an incentive yet, I guess. So yeah, everything is digital.
What's been your favorite comic to work on?
Oh boy. Okay, excluding my own, because my own books would win that competition. But if I have to like choose something that like belonged to a company or something, I would say maybe Black Panther. The story I worked on comes out like on January 26th, I think. And that would probably be that one. I wrote it, so I guess that helps. But yeah, that would probably be that one. There's also like an image book that I'm working on called Deep Cuts, and it's about like the issue I'm doing is about a jazz critic, and I just enjoy being able to draw a hairy dude in the 60s who behaves like an asshole with everyone. So yeah, I don't know, like it's a very like cathartic experience, I guess. So I would say those two.
And who's been your favorite person to work with?
Who? Hard. Let's see. I would say Sebastian Garner. He was the editor on my first graphic novel, Delia, and he was extremely like efficient and always had great ideas and very, very precise and effective feedback. He always knew exactly how to make things better every time, which I love being able to work with someone who's able to so precisely show me what I'm doing wrong, but also procures very effective solutions. And I think what I respected the most was that aside from his storytelling ability, he has also an ability to know where he's not supposed to know something, and when he needs to be able to understand something because the story needs it. Like in the case of Dialia, it was a story based on West African folklore. So there was a bunch of stuff that if you don't come from West Africa, you're not going to understand what they are. But you still need to understand certain things for the story to work. And he was very effective in knowing what he really needs to know and what can be left to the imagination or be left vague. So yeah, I would say him.
Why did you want to become an artist?
Why did I become an artist?
And why did you want to become an artist?
Oh boy, I have no idea. Like literally, I have no idea. I couldn't do anything else. Not in the sense of like, maybe I have talents for other things. I just never felt the need to go look elsewhere because the pull from this stuff was too strong. I just couldn't. Like it's kind of funny because I always ask people, why are you doing the thing you do? And I don't even know why I do the thing I do. I just know that at some point I started drawing and it never stopped, and I can't help doing it. Like my brain has to do it.
And which aspect of the comic making bit do you enjoy the most?
I would say probably the part where you make the story. But like there is a certain sense of like, it's kind of funny because drawing in and of itself is enjoyable but very, very painful because it's constant thinking and problem solving, but at the same time it like my brain enjoys it. Like it's pain. Like it's that meme of like the kid who's like imagining your story and the kid is all happy and then drawing the story and the kid is like crying with the crayon in her hand, and I'm like, this is exactly what it's like, but at the same time it's painful but it makes you happy. So, and there's the satisfaction of having the thing done. Like once you've inked your page and you can look at it and you get the satisfaction of like, yes, I managed to finish this and it looks good. So yeah, I would say probably that.
How long does it take for you to make a comic?
It depends. I usually work quite fast, which I'm not supposed to advertise, but let's see. On the TMNT, I had 30 pages to make, and it took me about 2 months, I think. And on Black Panther, I had 10 pages, and it took me 2 weeks.
And who's your favorite? Or our final question is, and who's your favorite turtle?
Yeah, Leo. Leo remains at the top because it's kind of difficult for me to choose usually, but Leo tends to remain at the top because there's this thing of like, I think it's a big brother thing where I understand the position he's in. And I also really respect this whole thing of like the discipline and the reverence he has for his dad. And I don't know, I always feel for the character a lot, but at the same time, I enjoy when stories also show negative aspects of him. Like I think my favorite moment of his is the 2007 animated movie where like the movie is okay, but there is this fight scene he has with Raph on the rooftop, which is the very reason why this movie exists, I guess. And my favorite piece of it is when Leo is like enumerating the reasons why Raph is misbehaving and why he's like making the wrong decisions. And at some point he says, and I'm better than you.
And more importantly, I'm better than you.
And I love this moment because this is one of those rare instances where you can see that Leo is kind of an asshole and he does think that he's better than his brothers because he's the oldest one and he has all the responsibility. And I love that aspect. Like I love, the characters are always interesting when you can see that there are negative aspects to them, like a bit of a, two sides of a coin, where he is the very noble and respectful and disciplined brother who takes care of everyone. But there is this part of him where he's like, thinks a little too much that he's just a tiny bit better than the others. And that makes him a bit interesting to me.
So thank you. That was all the questions I have. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Well, bye.
Bye.